For the first time in more than a year, the staggering U.S. death toll in Afghanistan has grown. At least 13 service personnel killed, along with dozens of Afghans. The closing salvo in America's longest war. ABC's senior foreign correspondent Ian Pannell, who just left the country, leads us off from Doha.
Juju, we'd already seen a decline in the numbers of people being evacuated from the country over the last couple of days, and as the retrograde takes place and following this incident, and there'll be increased restrictions on the numbers of people being able to be brought safely into the airport, then surely that decline is going to continue. ISIS-K, as they've shown now, is perfectly capable of conducting attacks, and because when the Taliban swept through many cities, they also opened all the prisons. That didn't just include Taliban fighters, it also included ISIS. And General McKenzie also said that one particular concern was the possibility that some fighters could get through those security checks, get on the aircraft like the evacuation flight we were on last night, packed with hundreds of Afghan refugees, and detonate a device. The risks that already existed for US troops, other NATO troops, and in particular for refugees, have just got worse. Juju?
Our thanks to Ian. The attack at the airport may have complicated evacuation efforts, but it didn't stop them. The White House says approximately 7,500 people were flown out on Thursday. But the bombings and the loss of so many lives is the realization of the greatest fears of American commanders.
From crisis to catastrophe. After 2 suicide bombs exploded near Kabul's international airport, the worst mass casualty suffered by American forces in a decade.
These American service members who gave their lives, it's an overused word, but it's totally appropriate here, were heroes. Heroes who've been engaged in a dangerous, selfless mission to save the lives of others.
The first suicide attack happened here at Abbey Gate, followed shortly by a second blast at the nearby Barron Hotel, just 200 yards away. Shell-shocked and bloodied, dozens of victims rushed to the hospital by whatever means necessary. It's become a darkly familiar routine for Afghans who've endured years of this. The blasts coming after days of warnings about potential terrorist attacks. Last night, the State Department issued a bulletin about an imminent terror threat, urging all U.S. citizens to evacuate the area, including Abbey Gate, immediately. The ambassador with this warning just hours before the blasts.
Being part of these huge crowds that remain around the gates and entrances to the airport is dangerous. We're obviously concerned about our own people as well.
It was obvious to me that we had very good tactical intelligence on the threat picture in and around the airport. The warnings that came out were specific and unfortunately played out almost exactly as they had determined.
The group claiming responsibility, ISIS-K, a fundamentalist offshoot of the Islamic State, an enemy of the Taliban.
The threat from ISIS is extremely real. We've been talking about this for several days. We saw it actually manifest itself here.
To those who carried out this attack, as well as anyone who wishes America harm, know this: we will not forgive. We will not forget. We will hunt you down and make you pay.
In the midst of a massive evacuation operation, more than 100,000 people have left since the beginning of the month, but thousands more are desperately waiting. This was the scene at the Abbey Gate yesterday, where one of the blasts occurred. ABC's Ian Pannell was there on the perimeter wall, guarded by Marines.
Abbey Gate, follow the water!
Those in the guard tower keeping watch on the crowds below, including one man waving his blue U.S. passport.
I can help you get in. Abbey Gate. You have to wait over there.
These are just devastating, heartbreaking scenes here. These people down here are stood in sewage water up to their knees, and this is what I've been saying. This is the difference potentially between the life-saving work that's been carried out by the military here and potentially death by the Taliban. Less than 5 yards.
The Taliban today condemning the attack. Tonight, with as many as 1,000 Americans still in Afghanistan, it's a race against time as the August 31st deadline for American forces to withdraw just days away.
I think you'll see jihadists swarming to Afghanistan right now. They'll want to be there for the 20th anniversary of the attack on September 11th. And it is not a good thing, obviously, for the United States' interests in the region and our overall counterterrorism efforts in the world.
Despite the warnings, the president stubbornly sticking to that deadline.
I've instructed the military, whatever they need, if they need additional force, I will grant it. But the military, from the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, the commanders in the field, have all contacted me one way or another, usually by letter, saying they subscribe to the mission as designed to get as many people out as we can within the time frame that is allotted.
For those still struggling to get out, every day is filled with dread and uncertainty. Haywad is an American citizen. His wife and 2 small children are as well, living in Southern California. Last month, his wife and kids went back to Afghanistan to visit a sick family member. Now, they're trapped.
We have been trying everything possible to get them out, but there is no way. We have tried everything to do so, but we cannot, unfortunately.
My colleague, Alex Prochet, spoke to Haywad earlier today.
They are in danger. The whole family is in danger. I'm afraid for their life. I may lose them, or, they may die.
Communication with them in Afghanistan has been a challenge, but Haywad and our team were able to speak to her today.
So it's been very scary. So we were deciding to head to the airport today, and we're thankful that we didn't go.
What is your plan now?
Not know if the airport gates will be open tomorrow. We were hoping to get out of the country by August 31st, but now the chances is very low that the airport will be open.
For Kelly McHugh Stewart, today's bombing and the lives lost is a horrible reminder of the legacy of the war.
Gotten the knock on my door, I've learned I've had a family member killed in action, and it's so difficult.
Her father, U.S. Army Colonel John McHugh, was killed by a suicide bomber in Kabul back in 2010.
Today is not like the day for anger, because it truly is just so devastating and sad. But over the past 2 weeks, there has been a lot of anger. Since my dad's death, you go through the normal grieving process but then I started to get curious and wondered, what is this war for? What is our end game? What are we doing in Afghanistan? And no matter where I've looked, I could never find answers to those questions.
Those questions echo the reason behind the president's decision to get out, that no more U.S. lives would be lost in this, the never-ending war. Now the overwhelming worry that this bombing won't be the last attack.
Right now, our focus is actually going forward, ensuring that another attack of this nature does not occur, because as you know, typically the pattern is multiple attacks.
Which is why 6,000 American troops are still in Afghanistan, executing one of the largest humanitarian airlifts in history.
We will not be deterred by terrorists. We will not let them stop our mission. We will continue the evacuation.
The bravery of those troops in harm's way, always on their minds, especially their fallen comrades, who today were hailed as heroes.
And joining me now, ABC's Chief Global Affairs Correspondent Martha Raddatz. Martha, we're learning a lot more about ISIS-K, the ISIS affiliate enemy of the Taliban, today claiming responsibility for the attacks and President Biden vowing retaliation. What can you tell us about the strike plans he's asked his commanders to prepare?
I'm sure they're just putting those together now, Juju. We always talk about contingency plans, but President Biden did say he thought commanders knew where ISIS leadership, ISIS-K leadership, as it's called, was in Afghanistan, and was very firm about hunting them down, and we will go after you at the time and place of our choosing. They won't really choose the place, because wherever that ISIS leadership is where they would attack. They had very good intelligence about a possible attack. They were alerting Americans to get away from that gate. But it happened anyway. So intelligence is never perfect, And it will probably take a while before they find those ISIS commanders and can plan some sort of strike. But I believe this is something the U.S. will carry out.
And expand on that a bit, Martha. It's been a gut-wrenching day for the military. You've been on the ground in Afghanistan in recent weeks with our soldiers. How will this terror strike, do you think, impact the final days of the mission and the morale going forward?
You know, I've talked to so many members of the military this past week who are so upset about what they were seeing anyway and so worried about their Afghan partners. And now not only to lose Afghans, but all of these Marines and Navy corpsmen and Army, it is a devastating thing to be around. And I think all the more devastating, Juju, because frankly, it has been a long time since the military has suffered a mass casualty like this, at least a decade in Afghanistan. We were getting out of these conflicts, and all these beautiful pictures of our service members helping people, going out there, taking babies, pouring water on little kids. This was a mission that made them feel better, that they were trying to get all of these people out of there, evacuated and into safety, and certainly the people who had helped them in conflicts before. So this is a heavy, heavy loss, but they'll put their heads down and they'll try to finish this mission to the best of their ability.
So eloquently said, Martha, and just days away from that August 31st pullout date. Thanks so much, Martha Raddatz.
Thanks, Juju.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.